Well, hey, good morning to you. I'm squirrel hunting, and I'm on my deck down in the Ozarks. One might argue this is a little lazy hunting, but that's not what this is. The only squirrels, last week I was down here for 3 days squirrel hunting, and the only squirrels I saw were in this little hillside down here. So I thought, well, we'll see if they come back out. But good news, this is really exciting news for me is, we've been going through the book of Matthew and we've been going through the genealogy and I felt called to just get out and do some fishing out on the water while I was doing it. And a year or so ago, I went through the last part of Matthew, verse by verse, from 24 to the end. And I did it on the water, like God said, be on the water. So I was on the water the whole time. And he said, do it every day as well. So every day I got on the water and filmed that series. Even if I was out of town, I'd go get on a boat somewhere. Like, for example, I was in New York City, so I'd go get on the Staten Island ferry and literally film while I'm just surrounded by people. Because that's what God said to do. And as I've been going through the genealogy of Matthew on a boat, it just didn't feel like I was saying to do it. It just felt like he said, get out and go fishing. But last week when I was hunting, I did a lot of praying while I was out in the woods. I love praying while I'm hunting. I actually think God shows me things sometimes while I'm out there, and he uses nature essentially to give me, teach me lessons. And what I got was this whole channel, and I'm doing another video about kind of why this is happening, but it's moving in a direction of trying to please God and doing things that I enjoy in life versus trying to please the algorithm and YouTube and get the most views and that kind of thing. And I was really just enjoying myself out hunting, and God was like, well, this is what you need to be doing. So I guess what I'm going to be doing with Matthew, if I understand this right, and I'm still looking for clarity, is I'm going to be hunting or fishing the whole time. And the beautiful thing about Missouri is there's all sorts of different seasons, and this will take years to get through Matthew. I mean, it's been a couple weeks and we're just on verse 4 of chapter 1, so getting through this genealogy, of course, is timely, and we'll be doing this probably for the next month or so, but it's incredibly fascinating. So I'm going to be out either fishing or hunting every time that we go through this book of Matthew. I just think it's going to be a beautiful couple years. There's going to be all sorts of opportunities. So I'm going to get back into this, where we are. Also, I got a camera on my scope, so if I see something, I'll film it. But if not, we'll just sit here and talk about the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Now, where we are is, it is just fascinating because, I'm just going to read through it. The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot Judah and his brothers. So even this piece, like this piece of Jacob becoming Israel and then Judah being the tribe that Jesus Christ comes from, it's very significant. Judah begot Perez and Zerah by Tamar, and Perez begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram. And ultimately, so Judah, and we went through this, go back and watch these episodes, but, the Zerah was going to be the woman. She was really kind of ordained by God to be the mother of the next lineage of Jesus Christ because she was the wife of Judah's firstborn. And through circumstances, Judah slept with her by accident. And she gave birth to Perez, and then Perez begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram, and now they're in captivity. Like at this point, they're actually they're not, they're going to Egypt, because it's Judah and his brothers go to Egypt. And, so these are the generations that, that the Egyptians are forgetting about. Like we forgot about this, this great man. who helped lead us through this drought, this famine. And now there's just a lot of these Israelites around, so let's start enslaving them. And these are the people that then, because when Ram begot Amminadab, and Amminadab begot Nahshon, Nahshon was the leader of Judah in Exodus. So it was Amminadab and Nahshon, his son, were the ones who kind of helped Judah get out with the rest of the tribes of Israel. And Nahshon was one of the greatest leaders, one of the greatest militaries Israel had really seen up until that point. He was leading a solid 78,000 strong army of Judah, So we're just going to pick it up there. Ram begot Amminadab, Amminadab begot Nahshon, and Nahshon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab. So Salmon was born in the wilderness. He was not part of that Exodus. He was not part of those people that were slaves in Egypt. So when Moses got to the promised land, they sent spies over, and all the people mumbled and grumbled and were like, well, let's go kill Moses and let's go back to Egypt or their slavery, so we don't have to go fight these wars. This all looks hard with those giants and stuff. And they're going to kill us. So God just led us here to die, have these giants eat our children. And therefore God then was like, great, fine, punishing you. 40 years wander around the wilderness till every single one of you is dead. So, I could almost just picture Salmon just kind of being like, well, what just happened? Like, what do you mean we got to wander around the wilderness till we're dead? Till you all are dead. That generation is dead, and he would have been a young, if not infant, if not born, after that. So, sometime in that 40-year stretch, he was probably born in the wilderness. So he would have been part of that generation of people who went into the promised land with Joshua. And the most beautiful thing about this, and I love this, is that, Salmon ends up falling in love with Rahab, the harlot. So this is no accident. If you are ever wondering, do I have the right person for me? Does God have, this perfect person for me in mind? And he does. And when you look around, you're like, well, I don't see this person anywhere in my town or whatever. It could be that there's somebody else somewhere else that he's going to use, because this is an important role that Rahab played. This is an incredibly important role that Rahab played. Not only did she surrender her people to be killed and destroyed, to save just a few spies from the Israelites, but she did it because she believed that God was gonna deliver victory to the Israelites. She heard the stories of the wilderness. She heard the stories of the Egyptians. She heard all those stories of how God had delivered the Israelites, and she knew it was gonna be true. Like, she knew this God of Israel is going to whoop us. So yes, here, hide. I'll go betray my people so you guys can, and your God can have victory. And then the man, the only living man at that time, because, his father, Nahshon, would have for sure died. I mean, that was the thing. God said all those people that left left Egypt, they're all going to die. None of them, other than Joshua and one of the spies, was allowed to come in. But it was just the generation born in the wilderness that was allowed to then fight these wars, and they fought them with just tremendous success. And here's what I know: you can't be the son of Nahshon and not be part of that army. Like, if you were the leader of a 78,000 strong army and you had a son in the wilderness, he would be a part of that army. Like, you would be raising him to do the things that you know how to do. He didn't send him off to school, or he didn't send him off to university to learn a new trade. Like, of course he became a soldier. Of course he became a military leader. You know, of course these things. I guarantee he was marching around Jericho with all the other soldiers, you know, obediently following God's direction every step of the way through that entire war. And when the walls of Jericho fell down and they went and they killed every man, woman, child, everything that lived in that city except for Rahab and who she had in her house, her family, somehow it was Salmon that fell in love with Rahab. I just, you know, it's not an accident. It is not an accident. Sorry, I heard something down there. It definitely wasn't an accident. It's really a beautiful story. You know, God, I mean, because think about it for a second. Just, you know, if you've read Joshua and you've read the end of Exodus, where, you know, God's like, all right, y'all just wander around the wilderness till y'all are dead. How many women are brought up in those stories? You know, once Joshua starts going into Jericho, how many women are brought up? You know, when Joshua then goes on and conquers Ai and conquers Israel and all these kingdoms, how many women were brought up? How many women played a role in any of that? You know, Rahab played a tremendous role in the conquering of Jericho because she believed in what God was and his abilities. She feared the Lord. The beginning of knowledge is the fear of the Lord, is what Proverbs says. So here what you have is you have her fearing the Lord and helping Israel conquer Jericho. And then here comes Salmon, who is clearly the leader because Nahshon's dead. So now he's leading the armies, most likely leading the armies of Judah, under Joshua, who's leading all the armies of Israel. And he finds Rahab, and they fall in love. And they give birth to Boaz, who, you know, ultimately, you know, the whole book of Ruth, like it's incredible. And, you know, this is why you just can't jump through the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Like, every piece of it has incredible importance. You know, that's why we'll spend months. You know, here, like, even really, we didn't even get through verse 5. We got through the first third of verse 5. So it'll take 3 videos to get through verse 5. But that's okay. It's incredibly fascinating. You know, we're just keep hunting out here. I'm going to kind of just pause and be quiet. If I get anything, I'll definitely put that video on the end. But for right now, this is what I got. At least I'm out here trying. If you watch the previous videos, I don't catch a lot of fish either. So I'm out trying. But fast forward a couple years, man, something tells me there's been all sorts of squirrel and turkey and bass and catfish and deer and stuff. So there you go, man. Stay with us. Beautiful, beautiful thing, Matthew. I mean, to go through it verse by verse and really talk about it and cross-reference it with the Bible, it's just going to be an incredible journey. I do want to take a moment and say, if you feel called to support the channel with Patreon, that link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love Guns.